Welcome to the No Spin News for Monday, October 13th, 2025. Stand up for your country. Another ridiculous week. I mean, I got to cut back. I could not eat this morning. I didn't have time. From the time I got out of the sack about 7:30 a.m. till airtime, constant. Now, I'm not whining. I'm reporting. Okay, I don't have to do this, but we have so many projects. And I'll be in D.C. the rest of the week after tonight, and I will tell you about that in the final thought, why I have to go down there. But the talking point memo is important this evening, the release of the hostages in Gaza. And they never, of course, should have been taken, kidnapped. That's the best word, kidnapped in the first place. All right, so as you probably know, 20 living hostages were released by the Hamas terrorists today, and that is because of President Trump's efforts. I think almost everybody understands that Joe Biden, and I'm not just picking on him, and I don't think Barack Obama or even George W. Bush could have gotten these hostages out. But people fear Donald Trump, and Iran in particular, which funds and arms the Hamas terrorists, are very afraid of the president. So he's got leverage in there. And the Israelis can't buck him because we're pretty much the only friend Israel has right now in the world. So Donald Trump did it. And I'm going to now do a timeline. October 7th, 2023. 1,200 murdered, 1,200 Jews murdered. No reason. Hamas. I write about it in the opening of Confronting Evil. I put you right in the town. All right? And 251 people were kidnapped by Hamas on that day. Then there was a negotiation. Now, I was a part of it, and I'm going to write about it in my last book, which will be out this time next year. I wasn't a major player in the first hostage release, but I was an expediter. I put people together. All right, so on January 19th this year, 2025, 33 hostages were released. You might remember that. But the terrorists held back. 44, 20 living, 24 bodies. All right, since that time, the Trump administration has been trying to get them out. Very frustrating, extremely frustrating. At the same time, the Israeli government was pounding Gaza, and a lot of civilians were killed. Not Israel's fault in particular. It's what happens in war. Civilians are killed. And Hamas hides behind civilians. I'm not justifying, I'm not a military planner. I wasn't there. But I'm telling you, in every single war on this planet, innocent civilians get killed. It's just the nature of it. It's horrible evil. So finally, a deal was made. President Trump then got on a plane yesterday and flew to Israel, where he said this.
It was a very tough period of time. For so many families across this land, it has been years since you've known a single day of true peace. But now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over. And as the dust settles, the smoke fades, the debris is removed, and the ashes cleaned from the air, the day that breaks on a region transformed, and a beautiful and much brighter future appears suddenly within your reach.
And nobody knows how that will play out. But you have to acknowledge history. And Donald Trump got this done. That's it. There's no but, there's why, there's none of that speculative garbage. We do not do that. Those who do are dishonest. Nobody knows. So after speaking to the Israeli parliament. Donald Trump then got on Air Force One and went to Egypt. Roll the tape.
Sir, what will Egypt's role play in the peace process here?
He played a very important role, and they had a very important role with Hamas. In fact, the general was right here, was very instrumental because Hamas respects this country and they respect the leadership of Egypt. So he played a very important role. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Now, the important role is true, but it's not just Egypt. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the Arab Street, as they call it, we're all in President Trump's camp to tamp down Hamas. Two reasons. Iran, which is loathed by most Arabs, remember, the Iranians are Persians, not Arabs, okay, is on the slide. It is diminishing in power because of America and Israel. And the Arabs want that to happen. Number two, money. It is bad for business in the Middle East to have constant terror. And money has always talked. And as you know, the Gulf region is one of the most important energy centers on earth. And the Houthis and all these other people disrupt business. So the Arab nations want these terrorists gone. And that's why they cooperated with the United States and Israel. Okay. Donald Trump then, after Sharm el-Sheikh, where he was in Egypt, comes back. So it's basically a round trip in less than 24 hours. Crazy. Middle East is 7 hours ahead of East Coast time. But the president will be back tonight. And I don't know how a man does it, tell you the truth. I think I do more than it, but he does, so it makes me look like I'm comatose. Anyway, here's an interesting couple of reactions. So I have been told by reliable sources, and I usually don't use anonymous sources, so I'm not vouching for this. But I'm just telling you what I've been told, that CNN talent, air talent, was ordered not to hammer Trump on this situation. Ordered. Okay. So they were all ready to go, and the MS people, they're out in the middle of nowhere. The View on ABC was also told to tone it down. But CNN, those orders went out. That's why you didn't see bashing there. So a couple of days ago, President Obama went on some kind of podcast or something and, didn't give Trump credit for bringing this hostage thing to a temporary close. Obama didn't do that. So one of Obama's best allies in the media is a woman named Abby Phillip on CNN. Roll it.
Honestly, it's not unfair to say if President Obama's going to write a whole post about a peace deal, maybe he should acknowledge the president that brokered it.
Okay. But that was not organic, as they say, ordered. Now, the hate Trump press, what they do is deflect. You didn't have a real lot of coverage over the weekend about this. And we'll play you some of the coverage that would take place. It was, all right, let's just move along. Let's get by this. It's a victory for Trump. We don't want to dwell on it. Okay, that's what the hate Trump press did, the networks and all that. There were, though, people who went out and tried to make Trump look bad, even though he succeeded. Roll it.
Donald Trump is often criticized for behaving like a bully on the world stage, but that is exactly what allowed him to get this deal done, how he was able to railroad Benjamin Netanyahu into signing up to a deal that other American presidents could not and probably would not have been able to get him to agree to.
Yeah, but you don't have to use the word bully because that's not what he is. All right? What Trump is a strong man. And I write about that in my column on Sunday. If you didn't read the column on BillO'Reilly.com, okay, about how Trump is governing as opposed to Andrew Jackson, Teddy Roosevelt, it's the same thing. It's not a bully. A bully comes in and kicks defenseless people in the mouth. Hamas not defenseless, lady. They're the killers, the murderers. Got it? Go back to London and tell everybody. Ooh, dishonesty is staggering. All right, summing up, it's a big victory for Donald Trump. And I'm going to get into it a little bit more, but I want to get down to D.C. tomorrow and kind of talk to, I have a whole bunch of high-level meetings scheduled. And then I'll come back. But this links in to Putin and China, this Hamas thing. And that's what I'm working on now. Okay. So just so you know, we're going to be exceedingly busy in D.C. But it's worth it. And that's a memo. Living on credit cards to cover daily expenses, then you know those interest rates are brutal. Why pay 20% or more to the banks? Instead, call my friends at American Financing. With mortgage rates in the fives, they can help you keep your hard-earned money right in your pocket and out of the hands of credit card companies. Right now, American Financing is helping homeowners save an average of $800 a month by using their home equity to wipe out high-interest debt. There's no upfront fees, no obligation, just a 10-minute call to a salary-based mortgage consultant. Plus, if you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments. That's more cash in your hands right away. So don't wait. Call American Financing right now. 888-462-9557. 888-462-9557. AmericanFinancing.net/bill. All right, let's do a personal story here. So, as I mentioned, Confronting Evil, I got the opening chapter inside the Hamas raid, a horror on what they did. On that day, all right, October 7th, 2023, children were murdered and taken hostage by these savages. All right, one of the kids was Abigail Moore Edan, 3 years old. 3 years old, taken by Hamas. Joining us now from New York City is Liz Hirsh Naftali. She is the aunt of little Abigail, and she's written a book. And I recommend this book very highly to you. Saving Abigail, the true story of the abduction and rescue of a 3-year-old hostage. So this must be a joyous day for you, Ms. Naftali, correct?
Listen, it's a day of great joy and hope and heartbreak. I mean, it's been 2 years, and what we're seeing are young men, sons and fathers coming home, and there is so much beauty in that. But we also know that, as you said earlier, there's still 26 others that aren't coming home alive, and they need to come home and be buried. But so it's one of those mixes of both, like, the most amazing, what President Trump and his team was able to accomplish was to bring these people free, but there are still people that need to come home and be buried.
And then rest assured, they will be. They will be. By this time tomorrow, I expect that all of that will be done. Now let's get to your niece. Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I had to read your book very quickly. So it's 3 kids in a home, 2 parents, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hamas savages kicked the door in and killed the parents and kidnapped the 3 kids. Pretty much that's what happened, right?
Actually, just a little change, that they came in while my niece was putting the 3 kids in a safe room because missiles were flying, and they murdered her in front of the 3 kids, 3, 6, and 9. And they ran outside, and their father was a journalist, and he had taken photos, and he was running back because he had done this before, but he realized this morning, October 7th, 2023, was a terror attack. And he picked up Abigail and ran. The 4 of them were running, and he was murdered by the terrorists, fell onto Abigail, and a 6 and 9-year-old brother and sister ran back to their home and hid in a closet for 14 hours next to their mother's dead body. And Abigail, we thought had been killed, but she had actually miraculously survived and then was taken as a hostage with another family into Gaza for 51 days.
Okay, what happened to the kids who went into the safe room?
The kids in the closet, they were rescued by what we would consider Navy SEALs after 14 hours while there was still a war going on in their community on October 7th.
So were these Israeli forces that rescued them?
Yes.
Okay, so they're safe, but little Abigail, 3 years old again, is gone, kidnapped, out of there. And the parents are dead, killed in front of their own offspring. It's just talk about confronting evil. I mean, my God. Okay, so Abigail gets out. Tell our audience how that happened.
So Abigail was a hostage for 51 days with women and children. They were released at the end of November. There was a deal that was done by the Biden administration, brokered by the Qataris and by the Egyptians. And when we saw Abigail on the third day of this release, I knew that she was safe. But a few days later, it broke down. And then nothing happened until 2025, when President Trump came in and he was able, with Steve Witkoff and his team, to get that next deal, which we saw at inauguration time, started to bring home more hostages.
Right, that was the deal that I mentioned. That deal began, just so you know, I don't even know if you know this, about 3 weeks after Trump was elected president. And it took about a month, 5 weeks for it to come to fruition. So Abigail is released. She comes home to Israel. Who takes care of her?
So, Bill, like when you say she comes home, like her house was destroyed, this neighborhood, this community destroyed by Hamas terrorists. So she does come back to my niece who did survive across this community on October 7th. She and her husband and their 3 kids miraculously survived. And she and her siblings went and lived and now live with them. And they live in a different part of the country because where they live, they can't go. And Abigail is being taken care of beautifully by her aunt and uncle, but without her parents. Okay,
so the 3 children are reunited. An aunt and an uncle are caring for them. Now, you would say that maybe this is they live happily ever after, but they can't possibly live happily ever after, can they, after all they've seen and been through?
No. And, you know, when you tell people this story, and I've kept telling the story for now almost 2 years of what happened, it touches people because a 3-year-old child was taken as a hostage after witnessing her parents' murder. And here she is now a 5-year-old and she goes to school, but everything that she has is based on a trauma of October 7th that she will carry with her for the rest of her life.
Does she have manifestations of that? I know you're in very close touch with the family. Is it nightmares, or is there anything about what she went through that is demonstrative today?
Listen, she knows she was a hostage. She knows that she was starved. She knows she was kept in the dark. She knows that there was no food and no hygiene. But she also, when she hears a loud boom and a loud sound, she does go like this because she was a hostage in a building that for 51 days, the area was being bombarded by the Israeli Defense Force as they were trying to, bring home hostages. This child was suffering from it. So there are things like that. But, she's a child, and what we are letting is for the things to come out from her naturally and to just give her the love. And what I've learned is, I'll just tell you, we had popcorn one day and she said, I got to eat popcorn one time in Gaza. And you think to yourself, that was her memory, that one day she got to eat popcorn in Gaza. And so when you know that she remembers everything.
Oh, absolutely. Never forget it. The older children, do they have any kind of flashbacks that are consistent?
They're very closed at this point. They talk with their aunt and uncle who are their parents, but it's really, we're letting it come out naturally.
I got it. So they're not any child psychiatry or anything like that. You're just kind of letting them be kids, and then when it comes out, you'll deal with it. correct?
Right, but just keep in mind, all children that were affected by October 7th in Israel, thousands and thousands of children all have therapists, as do my family. The
And
adults and
they were assigned by the government?
by the government and by it's been done both privately and with the government, but literally everybody. Israelis are traumatized. You know, we talk about this great day and we talk about everything, but I know for our family, until Abigail was released, we could not even begin to move forward. And I know for these families, they can just start to move forward with their loved ones home, but it's a nation that is waiting to move forward emotionally.
So you live in New York City. I'm right outside the city boundary. And then you see what happens at Columbia and about the demonstrations, and the far left people hate Israel, always have. How do you process that?
Look, since the beginning when Abigail was taken, and I really say stolen. She was stolen on October 7th as an orphan. And people then said to me when people were tearing down the posters and defacing a little child, I pitied them. I thought how sad that is where people are, and so hateful. And for 2 years, even when Abigail was taken, I was fighting for an end to the fighting. But it started with bringing back all of our hostages that were stolen. And Abigail was one of those, a 3-year-old child. So one of the things that I will tell you is I believe, and President Trump has said this, and Steve Witkoff has said it, is that we have to reject hate. And that is hateful. What is going on in those campuses is hateful. And I look at myself and so many hostage families as looking, how do we actually bring a peace, which President Trump is dedicated to, that makes it safe for kids on both sides? So the irony of this moment, Bill, is that I believe that the work that we are doing, and we can be different politically, but we are coming together, which is saying enough hate, and how do we move forward and bring peace to the region?
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get through to the real fanatical Mandani wing. I mean, that must be painful for you as well. See that a guy might be elected the mayor of the city in which you live who can't stand Israel, and you'll never convert him no matter what you do.
Look, I've learned in this process, I'm going to talk to people who want to know the truth and want to work together. And I will say this, that throughout my travels in the States, in New York, and the world, there are truly a lot of really good people. And I believe they are the majority, and the minority of people that you've discussed that are very loud and very vocal. I can't convince them to be on the side of truth and justice. So I'm going to talk to people who could be very different politically, very different nationally or religiously, but that want to know the truth and accept that on October 7th, there was a terror attack in Israel, and it affected Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Those people didn't care. They just wanted to kill.
Well, that is the truth. So, Liz, we appreciate it very much. Again, the book is Saving Abigail, the true story of the abduction and rescue of a 3-year-old hostage. And you really want to know the truth, as Liz just said, you read this book. And we wish you the best, Liz. If we can ever be of any help to the family at all, you let us know, okay? Thanks for helping us out tonight. When you're buried in credit card and loan debt, it's easy to put it off and say, I'll deal with it later. But here's the thing. Done with Debt has a little-known strategy that can dramatically reduce or even erase what you owe. This fall, they will aggressively engage your lenders because they know rich credit card and loan companies are doing year-end accounting and cutting deals to clear debt fast, meaning you need to start with Done with Debt right now, this fall. They can help end your debt fast without bankruptcy or loans. In fact, most clients have more money in their pocket the first month. So get started while you still have time. Go to donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their specialists for free. Visit donewithdebt.com, donewithdebt.com. Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or place in a tax advantage gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of 5-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, you can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. All right, final thought of the day. Take an Amtrak down to D.C. tomorrow morning. Can't fly because it's raining or windy or cloudy or the moon's out or whatever. And I don't mind taking a train. I can do some work on the train. I'm not getting patted down, that kind of thing. So tomorrow we'll do our show from the D.C. We'll do the No Spin News. And then after I tape, I'm going to go over to the White House. Charlie Kirk's widow is getting the Congressional Medal. All right, no, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She'd get the Congressional Medal too, but the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So I was invited to be there. I don't know her. I didn't know Charlie Kirk very well, but as a sign of respect, I'm going to go to the White House and go to the ceremony. I'll report back to you on Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, the Big Three American show, O'Reilly, Stephen A., and Cuomo, News Nation, simulcast on CW Network and on Sirius. Huge. 8 p.m. Eastern. You're discussing everything. All the Trump administration controversies and successes and failures. Boy, is that going to be wild. Okay? At the Kennedy Center. Live. Whoa. And then on Thursday, I'm doing a veterans documentary, which you're going to love. We're assessing all the generals, American generals throughout history, how good they were or not so good. And that'll be on Veterans Day. So that is my day in D.C., my week in D.C. I'm delirious already. But I hope you stay with us throughout the week. We'll have the best coverage of everything. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thank you for watching No Spin News. We'll see you again from Washington tomorrow. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.